Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an armchair adventure all the way to South Africa, 9,000 miles away from where we are today. And that's where I was born. And if you want to know anything about South Africa, in case you might go there, or just so that you can have a good chat over a barbecue and be able to tell your friends something real, true, not myth, about South Africa, this is the purpose of the presentation today. So I'm going to begin covering the most controversial points that a speaker could ever tackle, and that is politics, religion, and sex. Thereafter, if you're still buckled into your seat, we'll move on to some lessons we can learn from South Africa and what the rest of the world can possibly take away from that. So beginning with politics. How can we talk about South Africa without addressing the politics? Because it's only 14 years ago since the fall of the apartheid years. Now, thankfully, there's a democratic system in place, but I grew up in that apartheid system. And there is a misunderstanding that the apartheid rule was, by and large, a division of black and white races. That was part of it, but that was not the entire story. It was a very hugely complicated political issue. There are today 11 official languages in the country of South Africa. There are more spoken, but those are the official languages. And we sometimes have a problem here with the Spanish immigrants or German folks. That was one of the battles. What is the dominant language? And that everybody with a home language has a right to be taught at school in their home language, surely, and has the right to have a textbook on their subject in their own language. So there was a battle within the education system and the language throughout. What language is going to be spoken during the parliament, so that everybody can understand? And if you were to go to a court of law, you would have a translator. I've been a witness in one car accident case where there was a translator necessary because the person was of another home language. It was also a battle of political parties. In the first free and fair democratic election in 1994, after the release of Nelson Mandela and all the people were allowed to vote, not just white men, there were no fewer than 29 political parties standing against each other. So which is the dominant party? You can imagine this complicated issue. It was also a battle of cultures, because you've got two cultures living side by side. You've got a westernized culture where you've got the very advanced medical technology come down to us from a medical technology performed for the very first time in the world in South Africa in the 60s. Do you remember what that was?
Heart transplant.
Absolutely. Dr. Chris Barnard in Cape Town, South Africa. Open heart surgery, which fortunately many people all over the world, including someone like Bill Clinton, can now take advantage of. But you've got that culture living right side by side with the culture of the witch doctor. So that if you prefer to go to someone that will throw the stones and the bones, you may do so. And they might make you well with their technology, their lotions and their potions. You see, we know, don't we, that part of our healing is our attitude to our illness and our healing, is it not? So if you believe something will make you well, it will. So there is a following, even amongst the westernized folks, that prefer to go for herbal remedies rather than chemical remedies or operations. And that's, of course, happening today all over the world and becoming accepted medical science. So this was all part of the apartheid struggle. It wasn't just a situation of black versus white, while that was definitely part of it. The very first time that I had an experience with this country was back in the 70s when South Africa first received television reception. In 1976, I was 10 years old, to make the calculations. I was fascinated by the Brady Bunch. What a delightful American family. But I was also puzzled, and I said to my parents, why does this family have a white housekeeper? You see, the population numbers are in reverse. While we've got 13% non-whites here, it's the other way around there. And just because of the numbers, the person doing the housekeeping or the gardening or collecting the garbage would be someone who maybe didn't have a good education, and that's what they're doing as an honest living. So it was very strange to me to see that. It was only when I left school and went away to university that I had the opportunity to mingle with people that were not like me in the university situation. When I went away to university, similar to a situation from Kansas City to Lawrence, my father said a very strange thing to me. He said, "My girl, if I ever catch you in any political march, if I ever see you on television, hear about you in the news, because the political gatherings were illegal, you are coming straight home." What do you mean? What did the man mean? I didn't care. I was so excited to be at university. The cuckoo man, fathers. But very soon I was in the protest march. I learned about the very existence of Nelson Mandela when I went to university, who had been in prison for 27 years before I was born. And there I was in the march going, "Viva Mandela! Free Mandela! End the draft! End the conscription!" You see, the very same year that I left to go away to university, my brother went to compulsory military service. And that too politically has changed now to a voluntary system open to all races and all genders. So you see, there's two versions of history that we learned at school, but I didn't learn that history. So my eyes were open. Religiously speaking, South Africa is a Christian country, and that is why we only received television reception in 1976. You see, the apartheid government, that was very conservative, thought that the longer they could withhold television and reception coming into our homes, the longer they could hold off corruption. Imagine that the television would corrupt the family unit. So that is what the things that they were trying to do. Only recently, within the last 5 years, has gay marriage become legalized in South Africa, because traditionally South Africa is a very conservative country coming out of the legacy of the apartheid leadership and the Conservative Party. So we have majority Christian, so if you were to visit there, you would celebrate Christmas and Easter, but there certainly would not be the commercialized nature of Valentine's Day and Halloween and things like that. Because we don't have Hallmark cards there. It's based in Kansas City, isn't it?